Most data analysts waste their time learning Python the wrong way. They sign up for some 50-hour course, start at lesson 1, and then they try to learn the entire language before they even touch a real problem. I did the exact same thing when I started and almost quit. So today I'm going to show you the unfair shortcut that I used instead. You will learn exactly why the learn everything first approach keeps you stuck, and you'll have a simple method that I use to learn only the Python that I actually need for the job and skip 80% of everything else. This works whether you've never touched a line of code or you've already burned through 3 courses that you've never finished and still like you can't build anything real. Now, if this is your first time here, I'm Kedeisha. 6 years ago, I was delivering pizzas and Amazon packages for $8 an hour, and today I'm running a community of over 80,000 current and aspiring data professionals. And if you ever want to work with me to break into data analytics without going back to school, click the link in the description to learn more. All right, so let me start by showing you the trap because you're probably standing in it right now. When most people decide to learn Python, the first thing they do is they go find a course on Udemy, YouTube, whatever pops up first. And then they fall for the biggest myth when doing self-learning. They think that the longer the course, the better it must be. So they pick the 50-hour one over the 10-hour one because more hours feels like more value, but it's actually the opposite. A 50-hour course isn't a better deal. It's just a longer road to the same place, packed with stuff that you'll never even use on the job. So you hit play on lesson 1 and go through the course, but nothing's really sticking and everything feels like noise. You don't know why you're learning any of it because there's no problem in front of you this stuff actually solves. So none of it sticks. You watch the same lesson 3 times and it still doesn't click. And eventually you'll do what everyone else does and they'll drop it. Not because you're not smart enough to learn Python, but because you were set up to fail from the very first click. You can pour weeks into a course like that and feel completely overwhelmed, have nothing to show for it, no project, no proof, just half-finished progress bars, and a quiet voice telling you that maybe Python programming is not for you. But that voice is lying, and the course was the problem, not you. So if that's the wrong way, what did I actually do? Let me take you back to the very first project and my very first data analyst job. So when I landed my first analyst job, I didn't know Python at all, not a single line. I didn't need it to get hired, and most people don't either. You can land a data analyst job today without any Python, but more on that later. On the job, a problem showed up that only Python could solve, and that problem became the whole reason that I learned it in the first place. My very first project was building a dashboard. It pulled from a stack of Excel files that got dropped in a folder every single month, and before I could even use them, I had to clean them up by hand. This was HR data coming from an old legacy system, so every month I'd go in, delete the people who are no longer at the company, fix the messy spots, and stack all the files together and load it into Tableau. Then I'd manually refresh the dashboard every single month by hand. And that's when it hit me. This cannot keep being a manual job. It has to be automated. And the only real way to automate it at the time was Python. So instead of saying, oh, let me go learn Python, which was what I tried to do before and failed at, I did something different. I picked a North Star. And my North Star wasn't, let me just go learn Python. It was more specific than that. It was, I need a Python script that reaches into this folder, pull these Excel files every month, and runs the exact same cleaning steps on each one, and stacks them together and update the dashboard on its own. That one sentence changed everything because now I wasn't trying to learn a language, I was trying to solve a problem, and those are 2 completely different games. Now, once I had that North Star locked in, the next move is where the real shortcut lives. Now, with that goal in front of me, I worked backwards. I looked at what my script actually had to do, and then I let that decide what I needed to learn. Nothing else. I needed to read files from a folder, so I learned how to do that. I needed to loop through each file and run the same steps, so I learned loops. I needed to work with dates because I was filtering people by their dates, so I learned a bit of date time handling. And I needed the basics that everything else sits on. So strings, lists, all that simple stuff. That's pretty much it. Now, think of everything I skipped. All those advanced topics that were eating people alive in the courses. I didn't touch any of that. I didn't learn classes. I didn't learn generators. I didn't learn 75% of the curriculum because my project didn't ask for it. The honest truth is I only needed loops and a little bit beyond, a fraction of what those giant courses throw at you. And because I had that North Star, I could be ruthless about it. Every time a lesson came up, I asked one question. Does this get me closer to my script? If yes, I learned it. If no, I skipped it without guilt and just kept moving. That is the unfair part. While everyone else is trying to swallow the whole language, I was just eating one specific slice. They were learning Python in case they need it someday. I was learning Python because I needed it right now for something real with a deadline. You learn 10 times faster when the thing that you're learning has a job to do today. But learning just enough to limp through isn't the same as getting good. So here's the second half of how I locked in. As I was picking up each piece, strings, loops, lists, I didn't just read about them and move on. I take one piece and use it in a tiny challenge, something small and fun that forced me to actually write the code instead of just watching someone else write it. So I built silly little things like a simple board game in Python just to drill loops and lists until they felt natural. Small reps, real code every day. Now here's what most people will skip, and it's exactly why they forget everything that they learn in a course. Watching a lesson feels like progress, but it's not. Your brain doesn't keep what it doesn't use. So every new piece that I picked up, I put to work immediately. First in a small challenge to make it stick, and then in my actual project to make it count. The challenge built the muscle, and the project gave it a reason to exist. And that combination is what made it click very fast. So let me put all of this together into something that you can copy step by step. All right, step one, pick a real North Star, not just learn Python. A specific thing that you want to build or automate. And the more specific, the better. Clean this messy CSV and spit out a summary beats get good at pandas every single time. Step two, map out the steps. Write out in plain English what your project actually has to do from start to finish. Do not write any code yet. Just list the moves, read the file, clean these columns, combine everything, save the result. Step three, reverse engineer the skills. Look at each step and ask what Python you'd actually need to pull it off. That short list, and only that list, is what you learn next. Everything else can wait. Step four, learn it just in time, not just in case. Go find the lessons for those exact pieces, learn them, and use them right away while they're fresh. You're not trying to finish a course, you're trying to finish a project. Step five, drill each piece with a tiny challenge. Then drop it straight into your real project. Build the muscle, then put in the work. That loop is the whole thing. Do that and you'll have something that most course takers never get. A finished working project that you built with your own hands. Now, you might be thinking, hey, that's great for you, Kedeisha, but you had a job that handed you a project. I don't have a job yet. That's fair. But you don't need a job to get that North Star. You just need a problem, and problems are everywhere. You can grab a free data set on something that you actually care about, ask real questions off of it, or even automate something annoying in your real life, like renaming a pile of files, automating and tracking your monthly budget, for example. You can take the messy export that your current job already gives you and clean it up in a script. Any of that works. The whole trick is to stop learning in a vacuum and start learning towards something. Because the second you have a target, the right Python to learn becomes obvious. And don't worry about the gaps. You'll always have things that you haven't learned yet. Everyone does, including the people who finish the whole course. The difference is that your gaps get filled by real projects as you need them, which means they actually stick and you can actually learn things faster. Other people's gaps will stay open because they learn 100 things that they never use and forgot 99 of them. Depth doesn't come from consuming more, it comes from building more. All right, so let's bring this home. I'm going to leave you with a simple version of this. Most people fail at Python because they try to learn the whole language before they solve a single problem. The unfair way is the opposite. You pick one real thing that you want to build, you work towards that small thing, you work backwards to find the small slice of Python that it needs, and you learn that slice just in time. And you drill it with quick challenges until it sticks. And you skip the rest without guilt. That's how I went from a half-finished course with a voice in my head saying coding wasn't for me to a working automation script that ran my whole monthly report for me in a fraction of the time that it takes to finish a course. So this week, don't open another course, open a blank file, pick your North Star, and write down the steps. That one move puts you ahead of almost everyone else writing through a 40-hour course that they'll never finish. And if this shifted how you think about learning Python and you want me to walk you through the exact skills to actually get your first data analyst job, click this next video. I'll see you in the next one.